Welcome into Beefmaster Banner. We're your hosts, Josh Morrison and Jared Strickland. How's it going, Jared?
It's going good. Been a busy week already.
Yeah, yeah. Calving season still in full effect over there.
We're wrapped up. But I'm sure there's a few around.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
done too.
most everybody's been hard at it in the hayfield or planting planting row crops. We've been doing test plots this week, so been busy doing that.
Oh yeah. Well, we're trying to finish up our last field of hay and finally got some rain this weekend. Thank goodness. That kind of turned everything back green. We're starting to get dry, so now we're trying to get back at it and move along. Um,
We could use a little shower too. But I kind of would rather wait till we get done with hay first.
Absolutely. Before we get started tonight, I want to thank our sponsors. As always, we want to thank Lissy's Beefmasters. Um, Multiple sales a year. They've got great cattle. Be sure to look out for their stuff. Emmons Beefmasters, they need no introduction. Everyone knows the Emmons. Great people, great cattle. And they've got a sale coming up in August, so be on the lookout for it. I want to thank CNM Ranches, Chris Chick. Appreciate your support. Be on the lookout for their cattle throughout the year. I know they're selling at Seba and a few other places, so be on the lookout for their cattle too.
Also like to thank SEBA, Southeastern Beefmaster Breeders Association, for supporting us and sponsoring us. We're going to have a sale, be August the 26th in Lexington, Tennessee. So be looking out for that. Going to be a great lineup of cattle for that. Also, the Beef Foundation or Beef Educational Endowment Fund, our foundation, they do great things for the breed research and help pay for that. Also like to thank Jones Beefmasters for sponsoring us. They're having a sale coming up into this month, June the 24th. So y'all definitely come out for that. They always have good food and fellowship, and also going to have a great lineup of good cattle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good time, and I know we're hopeful to make it, and so look forward to seeing everybody there. And who knows, we may have a little special something lined up for the podcast. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see.
how was your trip to Texas?
Man, we had a great time. It's been a long time since I've been down to Fort Worth, but we got to go down to the stockyards and hang out there for a day, and I really think it'd take you about 2 or 3 days to see all of it.
There's a
But we
lot to
enjoyed,
see.
yeah, Parker, he enjoyed the cattle drive through town, and we actually seen it twice, and then one night we went to the PBR event they had down there, the World Finals deal, and they definitely put on a show.
Oh yeah,
Uh, then we moved on over to Red River that weekend and enjoyed the cattle sale there. It always makes the trip home a lot better when you come home with a high seller.
absolutely, and congratulations to y'all on that too. That was
Appreciate
well deserved. She was a great heifer.
it.
And I don't know who bought her, but they're in for a treat for that. So
They sure appreciate it.
but tonight we're going still a little bit different. We're gonna talk sort of more equipment type of stuff tonight, just equipment, chutes, trailers, different setups, and why all that's important. You know, I would just start with trailers. There are a million different types out there, and we run a 28-foot elite with 3 cuts. But I know plenty of people over this way that's got triaxle 32 footers. I mean, and I know people that's got 16 footers. There's not really to me a perfect size because everybody's a little bit different.
That's right. I kind of like the idea of doing this type of episode. I guess this goes back to the extension agent in me, but you know there's a lot of different things to look at when you're talking about cattle, and I've had some people that really, over the years tell me a lot of times you got to have a lot of things, or at least have some sort of setup to what you're doing before you even have cattle. And I think as an extension agent, I see that I get calls and come out and I got some cows. They got some cows and started really going after it, but that's all they got. They ain't got no way to work them, ain't got no way to catch them, ain't got no way to haul them, et cetera, et cetera. But So I think this is going to be a good episode, especially for you guys out there that's new or thinking about getting into cattle or just getting started. A lot of thoughts with that, and we're definitely open to taking questions, off here, messages or whatever. But going talking about trailer, uh, Dad, he finally upgraded to a 20-foot X's aluminum trailer, and that's been a great thing for us. But also, what's important with the trailer is make sure you got enough truck to pull the trailer. That's that comes from personal experience. Like I said, I hauled 7 heifers back from Texas in that trailer with my F-150, and that's a little bit too much.
But you
But
made it
anyway,
though.
I made it. I made it. But like I said, that's something to think about. If you get a big trailer, if you're going to load it down, you got to have something to pull it with. So I always think about that. But we bought that, or Dad bought that trailer, with intentions of growing into it, I guess. It's not, since it's aluminum, it's actually pretty light. So, if you put a few head on there, it's easy for that truck to pull. But when you get it loaded down pretty heavy, it's a little bit. I guess I could say this: I can put more on it than what my truck can handle. I guess
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So
Well, and
be
it's
thinking about that when you're buying your trailer.
well, and this may be simple for a lot of folks, but there may be some out there that maybe are looking for a trailer, or like you said, just getting started and trying to figure out what they need. If you've got 10 head of cows, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't know that you need a 30-foot trailer, to haul.
Yeah,
Um,
a simple bumper pull, would be. I say even a small trailer like that would be plenty sufficient. You know, uh, and also when it comes to trailers, I see this a lot, and I teach this in the master beef class too. Uh, if you're hauling cattle, if you're like us and started out with the old used trailer, like a wood floor trailer or something like that, make sure you're checking that thing before you load those cattle out. I mean, that's very, very important because you don't want to be driving down the highway and have a leg fall through the floor or something like that.
I
Because
have seen some rotten floors, and I have seen not cattle, but I have seen people fall through them.
yeah, I mean, if a person can fall through it, a cow obviously can too. So, that's something I hear horror stories up here of our local sale barn. Of cattle falling through floors and stuff like that, and as valuable as they are today, you know, there's no reason to have that type of malfunction.
no.
And always before you haul cattle, check your gates. I mean, check your locks or whatever. Don't want a door coming open. We've heard of that happening before. Escape door coming open in the middle of town, and here's calves running down through by the shell station or something.
Yeah, yeah, through downtown, past the
Yeah,
courthouse.
yeah. So I mean, it just stuff like that happens. But I mean,
Well, and
kind
the
of look.
type of floor, we had a stole pipe trailer. I think it was a 22-foot before we bought this one, and it was perfect for what we needed at the time. And I honestly wish we still had it just to run around and do things in, because it was so convenient just to pull in anywhere and spin around. But we ended
Yeah,
up replacing the floor with I don't know exactly the term for it, but it's a cleated rubber floor, but it actually had holes in between it. So it always stayed pretty clean because, when the manure and everything kind of go out the bottom, it was pretty cool. So that's something
yeah.
else to look at is, what do you want as far as maintenance? What do you want? Do you want a wood floor? Do you want that cleated with the, um, gaps in it? Do you want an aluminum trailer with aluminum floor? There's so many different options anymore.
Yeah, and kind of hitting on that too. With you take like a steel trailer, they're heavy. Uh, so you want to obviously have more truck to pull that, but you also have rust issues and things like that. So you're gonna get holes in it eventually someday, and then like we're talking about the wood, you gotta keep that pretty clean, or it's going to rot. That's one thing I like about Dad's aluminum trailer is it's easy to clean out and it don't rust. It's looks like it did pretty much the day we got it, other than the fact that it's obviously used, but it's got some look to it now. But
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, kind of in the same aspect, but going to something a little bit different. Let's go to chutes. You've got self catch versus manual versus head gates.
Yeah, and that's going to kind of dictate if you're looking to set up a working system. And I highly recommend everybody does that. Whether it's a simple head catch, like Josh said, or even all out barrel equipped with the bell, all full bells and whistles, you know. But look at what kind of money you can spend. It always comes down to that. But like if you got, like Josh said, if you got 10 head of cows, you might not necessarily need a squeeze chute. A head catch maybe just what you need. If you're working hundreds of cows, you probably need something that's going to stand up to something that's more efficient and really getting the job done.
That's probably an air investment at that point.
That's right. That's right.
And some air compressors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you've just got a small setup, there's nothing wrong with a head gate. You can do everything you need with a head gate. I've used one before, and it works fine. I mean, sometimes there are things that you wish you had a chute for, but things can be done with just a head gate. So you're spot on there. I think as far as that goes, as far as other chutes, I'm gonna put my plug in here. I know I'm not getting paid to do it, but AeroQuip, we bought one 2 years ago, and that has been the best investment that I think we've ever made.
Well, being able to work your cows and tend to them and do it in a safe manner for both the cattle and yourself is worth a lot. And that's the downside to like a head gate. If you just got the head gate, all you catch is their head. They can still be kicking around. They're not really protected, and you're not protected either. I mean, there's ways to set up a head gate where you got some wood boards to help protect you or something like that, or a pin or panel. But I guess kind of picking apart different brands or whatever. I've used and helped use several different ones. I'm a big fan of the Prefert. I don't own one. I just helped use some. I like their locking mechanism on their head gate or their squeeze chute, or head gate, same deal. But the scissors type catch, I really like that. If you're working cattle by yourself, like you're talking about the self catch, a lot of times people are talking about the saloon doors or something like that kind of deal. We got one. Dad's got one. We've used it for years. I see issues with it. It's nice being able to catch them as they walk through it, but also the cow gets down, and sometimes it's hard to get off their neck. We've had some situations arise from that. It's a little bit can be aggravating.
Well, and if something else, if you're trying to work calves, cows, bulls all together, you have to continuously on those swing doors keep adjusting back and forth. If you go with a manual, what I call a manual chute, which is like the scissor type doors, it doesn't matter what you run in there. You can run a 300-pound calf through there and a 2,500-pound bull and never change anything other than just closing it how tight it'll close on them. That's I'm like you. That's my recommendation to folks that are looking for a chute. I would prefer from using both. I've got a tartar sitting over at our other place, and when we built this one over here, we decided, hey, we're gonna buy this other chute because we had seen it. We actually seen it at SEBA a few years back, and we really liked the way it worked, the ergonomics of it, the way it was so accessible to every part of their body. But there again, it goes back to what kind of setup you've got. Like you said, if you've got 10 cows and not a very big setup, you probably don't need however much I don't even know how much those chutes cost anymore. I haven't priced them in the last 2 or 3 years, but
They're like anything, they went up.
yeah, like everything. But I mean, you may not need it, and there's different price points for everybody. That's kind of the cool part about this is you get, as a cattleman, you've got to have tons of equipment, but especially with chutes, I don't know, there's probably not, but it seems like hundreds of different price points and different options you can look at. I mean, you can add stuff to them, take stuff away from them, make them as basic as possible, get head gates. You can load them up as much as possible. You can get if you're the type where you've got 100 head of cows and they're 10 miles apart, half and half, or however you've got them, you may want to look at one of the OK Corral setups or something like that, to where you can move it and you only have to buy one thing instead of having to build two different things all the way around.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. And the one thing to forget, and we're kind of maybe talking mostly to purebred people. If you're designing something like this, always remember to since there's a possibility of doing AI or pre-checks or things like that, a palpation area would be good. You know, most chutes come with a setup or an option for that, or even like an alleyway system, or they have a little palp cage or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely for that. And remember that when you're designing your area, because a lot of folks, I mean, I said, especially in Tennessee, because they have a grant deal that you can pay, or they pay a portion of like a working facility cover. Make sure you design that in your length and stuff like that. And also, I see this a lot. If you do put a cover over your working system, like your squeeze chute, don't put the squeeze chute at the very end of the barn, because a lot of times you're going to work cattle in weather. The whole point of having it is to be able to do it, and you don't want to be standing there having to clip calves, or do whatever you're doing to them, and it's raining and you're getting dripped on.
Well, and if you've
Uh,
got dirt in front of that chute and it's right at the very front of that barn, it's going to be a muddy, sloppy
yeah.
mess.
Or even if you went all out and put concrete down, you're still going to be wet. It's going to be nasty. And just remember that. Also, you won't give you enough gap, that way, because rain will blow in and do all that. So give you some area there to do that.
And I think other than money, which is obviously the most important part, but we're looking at safety. Everything when we build our place, we tried to keep safety in mind. If we don't have to be in the pen with those bulls or those cattle, we're not going to be. I can push gates on them and kind of hold them that way, because let's face it, we've all seen videos, and we know how unpredictable cattle, no matter how gentle they are, or bulls can be. So just always keep safety in mind, and it goes for everybody. I mean, I can't probably stress that enough. But the safer that you can make your setup for you and your family and your cattle, the less you're, the less stress you're going to put on them, yourself, and anybody helping you. I think that's a big important factor.
Yeah, I agree with that. You always want to be safe when you're working cattle. Even like you said, just as no matter how gentle they are, sometimes when they get in a restricted area, they can't, their attitude can change a little bit, and that'd be the last thing you want to do is get hurt.
Yes, yes. Have plenty of panels to climb if you need them.
That's right.
Just in case.
And I guess kind of we talk about setups or working pens or whatever. I think one piece of advice would be to have somebody, if you're in that process and have never done it before, go visit some neighbors, see what they got, maybe go help them work their cows and see how it works and how fluid it is, and see if that's what you want to do. I mean, there's all types of different working systems. You got the bud box versus like a sweep tub, or even just some people have a catch pan and they run them down some type of alleyway of panels. I've seen a lot of different setups. Some are tied together with hay string, and some are all welded together. So it just depends. So go visit some neighbors, help them work the cows. They'll appreciate that, and that way you can see they may have something that you say, "Well, I'm definitely not doing that," or they may have something where you're like, "Wow, this is going to work. I want to do that on my farm." So go visit your neighbors and see what they got, and they'll probably give you some advice. I definitely recommend doing that.
And if you work cattle with them, you're going to know really fast if you like that setup or not. It's not going to
Oh
take
yeah,
but maybe two at most.
it won't take long, because I remember one time I went and helped somebody and they had a sweep tub. And you can see it's just just the metal panel bars, but but they had it to where you walked them in there, and it's like they could see out, and it just for some reason where that place was they did not want to go down the alley to the squeeze chute. They would just do a circle every time. And it just, oh, it would be so annoying. Uh, so, I think the next time we went, they put up some type of tarp or something or blacked it out, and it worked so much better. So I mean, it's just different ways of doing things to make it better. I kind of personally like if you're I kind of like the bud box system. Cattle tend to work really well with that. They always want to go back to where they come from. You put them in that box and they turn around and they find that escape route down that alleyway. They'll a lot of times walk right through there.
Something else you were mentioning, you said go see your neighbors. It's not a bad idea to call your vet or your scan tech or whoever does that, because if they are miserable every time they come to your place, it can get hard to get people to your place. I'm just going to be, I don't know how much more honest to be there, but I've seen it. I've actually, when we were building our places, that, I did the same thing. I asked around, and because you want your vet or your scan tech, especially your scan tech, because there's a shortage of those, especially around here. You want them to enjoy coming to your place because they're more apt to come back, and especially if they like your setup and they realize, hey, this guy's got a pretty good setup. We'll go back there.
Yeah, that's right. That whoever is going to help you like that, you want them to definitely be as comfortable as they can, or make it easier for them to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe, Jared, what kind of, I know I've been there. What kind of setup have you got? Maybe just talk a little bit on how you've got your pen set up.
Well, we don't have much. I like to have more.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, don't. But we got one place. We call it the at Dad's. We call it. It's just a little catch pen. I think it's about maybe 60 foot long or so, and we got different pens in that, and that works to a sweep tub. And we go when we have an alleyway and a squeeze chute. Dad's got a old WW he's had for a long time, and it's the saloon door type self catch setup or whatever. But it fortunately for it, all that's underneath the barn. So we can kind of work them any time of weather or whatever.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I like what he did there, because we got the concrete floor. It makes it easier to clean up and things like that. Got a scale in there with it, so we like that. And then on the that's kind of where we wean our calves and get cattle ready for sales and things like that.
Yeah,
And
it's a
then
good setup.
I mean, it works. I mean, it's not like we're running lots and lots of cattle through it or nothing. But anyway, then on a couple other farms and stuff, we've got just a real small, like a catch pen that'll hold the cattle, and we run them down through a place where that's another small holding pen, and then we walk them from that holding pen to a sweep tub to another saloon door type deal. So I'm hoping one of these days we're gonna get a new squeeze chute. I'd like
Oh
to
yeah.
have a pre,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Pre-fruit makes good stuff.
but that stuff mostly all that sits outside, so it's old, and I said we use it. We had to use it. Actually, that's kind of the bad thing about it.
Well, yeah, but you don't want a brand new chute sitting out there either, do you?
No, well, another thing too, like it's come from, and I know a lot of people are in the same situation. Most of the stuff we use on those farms are rented farms, and they either were left by the landowner or the person who had it beforehand, and we just keep using it. It just depends on, a lot of times if it comes with the land when you rent it, you typically just tend to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just use it and be done with it.
That's right.
And that's kind of like our setup here. It's a follow on. We built this place over here. And we kind of learned from the first place. It's just, it's under a lean to, and it still works. It's a sweep tub. It's got a sweep tub, an alley up to it, and it's got a tartar, with the swing gates. that's when we knew we wanted a manual catch, the scissor type chute. And so when we got this place over here built, we decided to go ahead and go with the Aero Quip. I'm going to tell you that is the best investment. Just like I said earlier, is the best investment cattle wise we probably ever made. We've probably made so far. But we made it to where we can feed the cattle inside in that same pen, so they can come in and eat. I can sneak behind them, shut the gate. We've got an alleyway with 4 pens that we can sort them off if we need to, sort calves off. And the same thing, it's got a tartar sweep tub, and it leads up to the chute. So we having that first one and being able to go to the second one, you really realize what you like and don't like about your first setup, and you can really fine tune that for the future. And we're tickled with what we've got. What we've got is what we've got, and we are done. But
Well, that's kind of what we look really hard at those Aero Quips. We kind of have had it on our mind to get one, but we haven't quite jumped out in there yet.
yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
sure that may be on our list for someday.
Well, those and the Prefords. I mean, the Prefords, you can't go wrong with Preford. Everybody knows the name. Something though that, and I know we talked about some stuff earlier, but you may, if you don't have a setup and you don't, I don't know, maybe can't afford one, don't have a spot for one right now, you probably, I know our counties around us in the Carolinas, most of our cattlemen associations around here have a rental that you can use. It's the OK Corral setup, and I see it around all the time. And they charge hardly nothing to use it. I think they charge you by the week, and I think it would. I mean, that's a really good idea, especially if you don't have a setup right now and you've got to get something caught.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think our local co-op, they have the option to be able to, bring one with them or something like that.
Yeah, it's always a good thing to have, for sure. But are there any other equipment that we're missing? I feel sure there's all kind of equipment that we're missing, but another thing you mentioned it earlier, scales. You always need scales. If you're gonna be in the purebred business, you gotta have them.
Oh yeah, yeah, you definitely got to have that. One thing I'd like to mention too is like wherever you have your squeeze chute, or especially if you get it undercover, have you like a table and a storage shelf or something like that. Like, because I've got one of them little, I don't even know what it is. I guess some people, I think I bought it from Lowe's or something, where it's got the little boxes you probably put nuts and bolts in it or something.
Oh yeah.
Well, I got one of those little deals, and I put all my different sizes of needles and syringes and even bands or whatever anything you think you'll need. Uh, I even keep like the implants in there and everything for whatever you're needing. And I mean, I think that's good, because that way, if an emergency happens or something comes up and you're putting cattle in there and you need it, it's right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, like, usually after I work a set of calves or something, or cows or whatever, I'll go to that shelf and look and see kind of, am I low on something or whatever, and then get on Valley Vet or go to the co-op or whatever I need to restock that for the next time. I think it's that's been great for me, because I just used to didn't have that, and we just would it's time to vaccinate the calves. Well, do we got the stuff? Now I just walk over there and it's ready. And another thing too, if you got electricity, a small refrigerator, just one of them, small few cubic feet refrigerator is awesome too.
Yeah, or a cooler.
Yeah, whatever. Something to keep your medicine cold. I mean, that's always nice.
Well, you said something a second ago that I'm guilty of, and that's waiting till the last minute to figure out till we're ready to work cattle to figure out what I need. that's the perfect time for me to figure out what I need, because I never have it all. It doesn't seem.
Yeah. Well, and I say I do forget things and stuff like that, but knowing that I've got uh that cabinet full over there, at any time I need something, I know where to go get it.
Yeah, you know it's there.
Yeah, I know it's
Um,
there.
and I mean, with this episode, I really hope that when this gets on Facebook and YouTube and Spotify, Apple, I hope that we can get a lot of conversation sparked out of this. Tell us your guys' opinions. Tell us um, you know, what setups y'all have, what you see that works and what you don't like. I say all the time, we want your opinion, but this is truly, I mean, this episode right here is perfect. Give us your opinion. Tell us maybe some equipment that we missed. Obviously, we know tractors and all that, kind of things. But if there's equipment that you think is important that people ought to know, comment on there when it gets on face, which it'll be on Facebook when this releases. So just make sure to get on there and comment and interact with us, and we can have some good conversations.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of what this is for, is to get conversation started and help those that need it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we're completely out of time tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed it. It was a little bit different episode, but I think like we both talked, I think it's an important episode. It may seem simple to some, but I'm hoping out there that it'll be helpful to some people.
That's right.
But we'll see y'all on the next episode. Thank you.
See you.
Well, we want to thank everybody for listening to the Beefmaster Banner podcast. Please know that we are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and we are on YouTube. Just search Beefmaster Banner. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.